I'm Lynn. Welcome all of you to English Practice Channel. Today, we practice many listening lessons are called passive listening. Passive listening is how we get used to the native speaker's accent without focusing too much on the meaning of each word. It'll like the way we enjoy an English song with a clear melody. If we practice listening again and again, we will feel the sound and pronunciation. Now, we start our lesson.
#21. The education of TV children. Many children act in TV shows. They work several hours every day, so they cannot go to a regular school. How do they get an education? In Hollywood, where many TV shows are made, about 40 teachers give lessons for the children in the shows. They teach wherever their pupils are working. The teacher's job is very important. She is responsible for making sure that the child works only the permitted hours each week. She is responsible for making sure that the child learns the required subjects. She makes sure, too, that the child gets enough rest and play, along with his education. Child actors are required to attend classes 20 hours each week. California law says that they must be taught from September to the middle of June. If they do not get good marks in school, they are not permitted to continue working in TV shows. TV children are usually good pupils, and most of their teachers like this special kind of work. Their classes are held in many interesting places. Sometimes the classroom is a Mississippi riverboat. Sometimes it is the inside of a spaceship. Often the pupils become famous stars.
22. Learning English. As we all know, English is the most widely used language in the world. It's important for us to study English well. But how? I like English as well as maths and physics. At the beginning of my English study, I spent a lot of time in memorizing the grammatical rules of English. I wasn't interested in listening or speaking. Many times, the marks I got in English tests were not as good as those in my maths test, so I decided to change my way of study. From then on, I have begun to pay attention to listening. In my spare time, I often listen to English tapes and watch some English programs on TV. I try my best to grasp the main idea. Reading is an important step in learning English well. I read textbooks and other reading materials. When I am free, I often read English magazines and newspapers. Although there are lots of new words, I often go through what I read without paying much attention to the new words or difficult sentences. In this way, I've improved my reading comprehension. How glad I am! The more I read, the more I understand. The more I understand, the more I read. Recently, I have also been trying to write. Though I often make mistakes, I am not discouraged. I'm determined to study English well. I'm sure I will know it well in the future. 23. It's never too late for success. Some parents worry very much that their children will amount to nothing since they are given to daydreaming, indecision, and they show no promise of being a doctor, lawyer, or manager. Meanwhile, the teenagers themselves also despair of the future and their success, for they are constantly scorned and blamed. But the truth is that many of the greater figures were practically beatniks when they were teenagers. Mozart never showed talent in any direction whatsoever during his formative years until he was 22, when he suddenly became fired with a great passion for music. Edison finally attracted worldwide attention for his great contribution, although his teacher had tried to get him out of the class, saying that his brain was addled. Therefore, it's never too late for success. Teenagers, however disappointing and disappointed, have that one special advantage over the greatest men alive: time. They surely can arrive at the peak of their career in the near future, as long as they avail themselves of valuable time and exert themselves to accomplish their share of work carefully and persistently.
24. The development of American cities. American cities are similar to other cities around the world. In every country, cities reflect the values of the culture. Cities contain the very best aspects of a society: opportunities for education, employment, and entertainment. They also contain the very worst parts of a society: violent crime, racial conflict, and poverty. American cities are changing, just as American society is changing. After World War II, city residents became wealthier, more prosperous. They had more children. They needed more space. They moved out of their apartments in the city to buy their own homes. They bought houses in the suburbs, areas near the city where people live. These are areas without many offices or factories. During the 1950s, the American dream was to have a house in the suburbs. Now things are changing. The children of the people who left the cities in 1950s are now adults. They, unlike their parents, want to live in the cities. Many young professionals, doctors, lawyers, and executives are moving back into the city. Many are single, others are married, but often without children. They prefer the city to the suburbs because their jobs are there. They are afraid of the fuel shortage, or they just enjoy the excitement and opportunities which the city offers. A new class is moving into the city, a wealthier, more mobile class. Only a few years ago, people thought that the older American cities were dying. Some city residents now see a bright new future. Others see only problems and conflicts. One thing is sure, many dying cities are alive again.
25. TOEFL. TOEFL is a short way of saying Test of English as a Foreign Language. It measures a person's ability to understand, read, and write English. TOEFL does not measure how well you speak English, however. The test of spoken English does. It is about a 20-minute test that involves speaking English. Many American universities will advise you to take this test if you plan to attend a graduate school. Some universities also will tell you to take yet another test, the test of written English. It is a 30-minute test in which you are asked to write in English about something. The test measures your ability to organize information and to express ideas in correct English. Professors of English as a foreign language work with foreign students who come to the United States to study English. They say many foreign students do not know how much writing they must do every week at an American university, and they do not know how much they are expected to talk in class. They say foreign students must do well in writing and speaking English, or their studies in the United States will be extremely difficult.
26. American education. Newcomers to the United States are often surprised by the schools. American schools are sometimes so different from the schools they have known in other parts of the world. American education is based on the idea that children need to learn to think for themselves. The school should be the place where they learn to do this. In schools, children learn the 3 R's: reading, writing, and arithmetic. They study history and government, which are often called social studies, and many other subjects. They also learn how to be independent, how to make their own judgment, and how to develop their own abilities and interests. The American teacher does not want the children in her class to sit with their hands folded quietly and to say nothing. She wants them to listen carefully, to ask questions, to answer questions, and to give their own opinions. She knows that what the children learn from books is important. She also knows that it is necessary for them to know how to use this learning for their growth and development. During the open school week, parents have a chance to see how American education works.
27. Water resources. With the economic development and the increase of the population, we are faced with the lack of water supply. From a recent survey, it can be seen that the consumption of water all over the world has been remarkably raised compared with that of last year. Statistics also show that a lot of water resources such as lakes, rivers, and oceans have been polluted seriously. As a result, there is less space for people to obtain enough healthy water. So, it is high time for us to find a solution to the problem. There are two main ways to solve the problem. First, with the development of high technology, new resources may be found and the present ones can be exploited effectively. Second, measures should be taken to restrain the increase of water consumption. For example, we can advocate the recycling of water in industry. Being one of those whose life had been threatened by the crisis, I would like to do something helpful, such as not wasting water in daily life and spreading the idea of protecting environment. As long as we take it seriously, we will definitely overcome this difficulty.
28. Different purposes of working. Careerists are people whose self-image is determined almost exclusively by their jobs. Virtually everything they do is designed to advance their careers. They are defined by their jobs. When you meet a careerist at a party, he immediately tells you his occupation. Take away a careerist's job, and he doesn't know who he is. He loses his identity. His life is seriously out of balance. This particular disease is called careerism. Workaholics may or may not be careerists. Workaholics also spend most of their time and energy on their jobs, but there may be different reasons for their work pattern. They may not even identify with their jobs. Work may simply be an escape, an effort to avoid dealing with life. On the other hand, a workaholic may love his job and simply become addicted to the pleasure of doing it, and doing it well. Careerists may not even like their jobs. In fact, they may not even work that hard. They may spend most of their time on organizational politics for advancement. Careerists are not so much into work as into seeking identity through their jobs, their career advancement, and the symbols of success. A workaholic may be working to help others or to support a noble cause. If we are working on projects we see as important to social transformation, it is easy to become obsessed with the project and let other areas of our lives slide. We must all strive to avoid this pitfall. Managers must be alert to both careerists and workaholics, recognize the differences, and seek to help both move in the direction of wholeness.
29. The killer, smoking. 2 days later, I was wheeled into the surgery. The tumor was inoperable, so they just sewed me up again. After a month or so, I went for radiation treatment 5 days a week for 7 weeks. It made me unbelievably tired. On the way home, Bernice would have to pull the car off the road so I could vomit. One of the first walks I took was out to the letterbox. It's less than 100 meters away, but I had to sit down halfway there. The birds were singing, and the smell of honeysuckle filled the air. I thought, the world is such a beautiful place. Why did I have to ruin it for myself by smoking? I'm angry with myself for smoking, but I'm also angry with the tobacco companies. I saw a couple of cigarette executives on TV the other day, and they had the gall to say there's no proof that smoking is bad for you. I'm proof. Today, when I look in the mirror, I am shocked by what I see. A man with no teeth, a scar from his chest round to his back, struggling to walk, face distorted with pain. And then I realize what I want to do. I want to have my picture blown up and plastered all over the world on giant billboards. Because now, you see, I'm the real Marlboro Man.
30.
American education system. In the United States, boys and girls start school when they are 5 years old. In some states, they must stay in school until they are 16. Most students are 17 or 18 years old when they leave secondary school. Another name for secondary school is high school. Most children go to public elementary and secondary schools. The parents of public pupils do not have to pay directly for their children's education because tax money supports the public schools. If a child attends a private school, his parents pay for the child's education. Today, about half of the high school graduates go to college and universities that receive tax money from the government. A student at a state university does not have to pay very much if his parents live in that state. Private colleges and universities are expensive. However, almost half of the college students in the United States work while they are studying. When a student's family is not rich, he has to earn money for part of his college expenses.